I'm Elaine Buchanan. I've been an instructor at Meissner's for about 12 years, quilting in different sewing classes, and I'm here today to share just a couple of my quilts with you. Okay, so this first quilt I have here is a scrap quilt, believe it or not. It's from a Bonnie Hunter string playing book. The pattern is entitled Blue Skies, but I entitled mine, well, I'm trying to decide if I'm going to call it Living on the Edge or Closer to the Edge. And the story behind this one is in 2014, we were doing our block of the month at the Meissner's in Folsom, and this was the fabric we were using. It was my job to cut all the kits every month. At that time we were doing, you come in on the first Saturday and pick up your kit and you get the instructions for making the block for that month. Well, as I was cutting the kits out of these lovely blue and green batiks, there was a lot of leftovers, little edges and selvage edges and edges, ends of the bolt, and being obsessive about A, batiks, and B, scraps, I couldn't let these go to waste. So I started collecting them, all these little edges. I found this Bonnie Hunter pattern in the book. It was done in blue and yellow, but I thought this will totally work because it's all these little pieces. Nothing in this quilt is bigger than a 2.5 inch strip. So I started putting this together, and lo and behold, I discovered that there's some 1,260 roughly half square triangles in this thing. So it was a beast. It took me a while to finish, but I have to say that this quilt is finished, well, other than being quilted, and the top for that block of the month from 2014 is not done yet. Oh, and I still have half a banker box full of these scraps, and another one of my friends slash students has also made the same quilt out of those scraps. But I love this quilt. And did I make it for anyone? No. I don't usually make quilts for people. I just make them because I love making them. I'm a compulsive maker. Before COVID at the Folsom store, I had a yearly class that was called the Stash Busters Block of the Month. And that kind of evolved from me seeing these really, really intense, intricate quilt projects and thinking, oh, it would be way more fun if I coerced a lot of other people to do it with me. So we did Stars Over Valley Skies, we did Jen Kingwell's Gypsy Wife, and then we did the Tulip Pink Butterfly, which, as you can see, has a lot of different blocks, a lot of different colors. Of course, everyone's was different. This wasn't a block of the month like we picked the fabric and you did the quilt. We just picked the pattern and you used your own fabrics, which is why we called it the Stash Buster project. And we would meet every month, once a month, and work on these quilt projects. So this was my version of the Tulip Pink Butterfly, all pretty much scraps, all batiks. You can tell I really like colors, and I always tweak my quilts a little bit because I really, really like fancy borders. So I added the square squares across the top border and the bottom too, which you can't see. That are done with the Deb Tucker Studio 180 square squared ruler, which I also really, really like. So this was a very fun quilt. Again, everybody's was different. Some of them actually finished theirs and got them quilted up. As you can see, mine is not. It's waiting for inspiration to quilt it. Well, when my girls were now in their 40s, were little, I made a few quilts for them, actually hand quilted some of them, but that was back in the 80s. Quilts and quilt patterns back then were not nearly as cool and innovative and bright and colorful as they are now. And then I didn't do any quilting for a long time till I started working for Meissner's in 2008. And I was practically broke. We were in the middle of the the great economic meltdown in 2008, so I had to go get a real job. So I was trying not to buy fabric, which was really, really difficult, working around fabric all day. And I would see all these beautiful quilts come in from all the people that were making them in the blog of the month, and I finally just caved. Started buying fabric, started buying machines. First couple of quilts I made were okay, but I learned fast. And it just kind of exploded from there. For many years, I was making most of the store samples for the Folsom store. So probably I have, I'm guessing at least 150 quilt tops waiting to be quilted, stacked up by my long arm. Yeah, I don't, other than taking a few long arm classes at the quilting shows from the really excellent long armers, it's all just pretty much self-taught. My mom sewed. I did some sewing when I was a kid. It was mostly garments, maybe some stuffed animals, things like that, but nothing really quilty. Well, let me see. Right now, I'm just finishing up this quilt. It's really cute. It's cookies, pieced cookie blocks, chocolate chip cookies, and a little cookie monster, and another block has a bottle of milk and a glass of milk. So I'm finishing up the cookie quilt. Then I have a custom order from a customer who wanted a freedom quilt, which is a quilt made of the blocks that were used through the Underground Railroad. There were messages in the quilt blocks to the slaves that were escaping from the South to the North. And this man contacted me and wanted a freedom quilt.